Bottom line is, it's illegal. If you become defiant and not want to ID yourself, I feel like you're just making things more difficult. You had a very difficult situation occur in the city of Malacca yesterday involving an incident that turned into a ramming of a squad car. You never know when it's going to go sideways on you.
On today's podcast, we have a frequent flyer. Some of you might know him as Todd. Some of you might know him as a chief of police. Some of you might know him in different ways. So either way, we have questions that we gathered from you guys online, and we have questioned him throughout this podcast for a good hour about, traffic, about criminal offenses and motorized vehicles, and if you can drive this or you can't drive that. So it was actually a good time. We had some laughs and some educational moments. So without a doubt, let's jump into it. And before we jump into the video, everybody, we just want to give a quick shout out and thank you to our sponsors. Today's video is sponsored by Twice New Clothing and Treasures. So thank you again for helping us put this on. And now let's get into the video. Welcome to the Princeton Podcast, your go-to source for everything happening in and around Princeton. Join your hosts, Zach, Mary, and Kim, three locals who live and work right here in Princeton, as we bring you the latest events, exclusive interviews with local businesses, and stories that make our town special. Your community, your stories, your podcast.
Well, two for sure, maybe three.
Yeah. Yeah. We love you. We're glad to have you. We have tons of questions today that the city of Princeton and maybe some others have submitted for you. Some are very interesting. Some are comical. Some are, fair.
Residents.
Yeah, residents. Submitted good old people.
Questions. So from the village.
The village. So, I can jump off with the first question unless you want to take it away, Mary.
No, that's okay. Go for it.
Awesome. Concerning the park during the county fair, side streets of 13th and the 12th Avenue north on east and west sides, and the 4th Street on here. Bear with us, you guys. We're reading these out loud. All right. And the 4th Street north on. Oh my goodness. 4th Street north on north and south sides get so congested with cars on both sides, especially 12th and the 4th Street. There is no way an emergency vehicle could get through. Any suggestions? Possibly just parking on the other side during the fair? ? I got some thoughts on this, but I want to hear yours.
Well, when the fair is going on, it's obviously super busy up there. There are some streets that have no parking on one side. There are some streets that don't have parking or no parking on both sides of the street. My suggestion to that question is obviously, we should get an email maybe to our city hall asking, because this would be something where we would have to have council make an amendment, so to speak, where we could post no parking signs in certain areas. There are roads that are actually different sizes, different widths. So we do look at that, and they're right. There are a couple streets that get a little bit tight that we're always trying to look at before the fair starts and decide whether we should be posting something or not posting. So I would encourage anybody who's got a question that maybe lives up in that area, if they, to call City Hall or email City Hall, and at least doing that allows for a staff level discussion as far as how we want to appropriately address that question.
I feel like 13th Avenue is only parking on one side.
The one that runs next to the fair there, that heads out to First Street, that has no parking on one side.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
that's where my grandma lived, and I don't remember parking on both sides.
Yeah, there's a couple areas that we have no parking signs up, but there are some streets that are, I think, filtered farther back. And again, let's go back to it. We have that concern, right? But then we also have the people that want there to be parking.
Yeah.
So we hear a little bit of both, right? So that's where measuring and making sure our widths are appropriate, and we know how wide fire trucks are and ambulances and stuff like that, where we have to constantly be addressing that.
And I assume that they know the right path to take where they will be able to get through.
Yeah, and you're right. That's probably a big thing too. Is during the fair, fire, ambulance, police, we all know how to get around up there, kind of thing. So
yeah, you guys got brush guards, so
we just start moving stuff, just start pushing stuff out of the way.
Yeah. Oh man, this is a good one. So that one was very Yeah, parking related. This one is more interesting. I'm gonna let you take it up.
Okay. All right. This is an interesting one.
Yeah.
If a friend and I were to go to Walmart and I was riding in their car and chose to stay in the car while they went into shop and stole something without my knowledge, would I be arrested for refusing to ID? I assume to ID them. Even though I didn't commit a crime, I had no knowledge that my friend committed a crime.
Yeah. So I think we do a little summary too on the question here. Sounds like someone went to Walmart with a group of people, sat in the car while someone else went inside, committed a crime, came back to the car, and it sounds like at this point they've been, there's some kind of approachment of a police officer or something that's confronted them about the crime, and now they're refusing to give an ID, and they're probably pushing back on it, like, I've just been in here the whole time with my, on my phone. I don't know what they did. Even though I didn't commit a crime and had no knowledge of that, am I committing a crime? I feel like the question is, I feel like it's more toward their ID, like just not wanting to even show their ID. Like, I didn't do anything wrong. Like, they did it.
Yeah.
So
I agree. I mean, this is a good question. I mean, I can't think of a time that this has happened, at least here, but I've heard of this. The answer is pretty simple. If we feel that there's an involvement, right? So like in this situation, we're jumping to a little bit of conclusions as far as what transpired, but I would say that we would be for sure IDing everybody in the vehicle based off of the fact that we don't necessarily know the whole story.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I jumped to the conclusion of if you become defiant and not want to ID yourself based off of just a simple, hey, we're, because maybe we think at some point throughout this investigation that they're not involved, but we have to determine that.
Right.
We're
Part of
going to
the
need your ID,
investigation.
right? I feel like you're just making things more difficult. Could you be charged? Absolutely.
Yeah.
The lack of cooperating with a situation like that, and granted, we don't know all the variables to this, but if, how in my mind, right, we're pulling up and this description of a person that was stealing stuff is now in that car, maybe,
Right.
And we stop that car, well, guess what? Now we have a right to investigate
Yeah.
all who's involved, and our job is to try to get as much of the facts as possible so we can make a better decision.
Yes, to decide
that,
like if they were accomplice or whatever.
You can spin this Walmart thing. I
Yeah.
find it comical that we use Walmart.
Yeah.
But I mean, this can be anywhere, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, just going off this thread, there's social media videos all the time that surface, and people are like, do I have to show my ID if I get pulled over? I feel like this is along the same lines. If, would you agree? Like, if
absolutely.
if we could twist the question a little bit and just be like, hey, I was driving down the highway, got pulled over for whatever reason. I don't know why, and I don't want to show you my ID. What's that case scenario? Like, some people say that you don't have to. Some people say, I have my right. I don't need to show you my ID. It's like, okay.
Yeah, what do you have to?
On like a traffic stop?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just cooperate.
Yeah.
I'm verifying that because
Yeah,
what if you lost your ID and don't have one?
Well, I mean, that's
Asking
where,
for a friend.
That's a little different. I feel like.
yeah, there's
and
a
then
little
you're
bit of
cooperating, right? Like
Yeah.
here's my name, here's my date of birth.
Yeah.
Like you look up my information, like
100%.
versus like, no, I'm not gonna roll up my window barely, and here's
I'm going to crack my window and talk
I'm
to
recording,
you,
by the way. I'm recording.
and like, the standard answer of, when they do say I'm recording, well, that's awesome. So are we.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
But the ID piece, I mean, it happens all the time. Oh, I left my ID in my wallet or my like we have the means to be able to getting your name and date of birth, because at the end of the day, you're being stopped for a traffic violation. Right. So we have to know who we're talking to, because at some point, maybe it's a verbal warning, maybe it's a citation, maybe it's a fix-it ticket because you have a taillight out or you have no proof of insurance. I mean, I know there are a lot of people out there that no, I don't need to do. Well, yeah, you do.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, don't drive in Minnesota. Like, go someplace else.
Just cooperate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds a little bit like I'll go drive someplace, but that's ultimately you choose the right. It's a privilege to drive, right? And it's very it's laid out very perfectly, black and white on yes, you do need to provide a driver's license, a proof of driver, that you have it, proof of insurance, all those things that pretty much every state requires.
I'm going to go a little bit further on this too, just on the proof of things like having a driver's license. How about in a very more digital age now for proof of insurance, do you guys still require a hard card of your insurance, or is it okay to have a digital copy sometimes, or are we getting to a point where AI and the internet and like makeshift stuff where like we're going to go back to a hard card format, or is digital still okay in your car?
Yeah, we still get a lot of that digital piece, like, hey, here's my card on my phone. Because I mean, like, like my insurance, I still am a little bit, I think we talked about this one before, I'm still a little bit old fashioned where, like most insurance companies now will send it to you on your app, and you have it. I've always said, well, what if you forget your phone, or what if for some reason your app is not working? So like for me, I still have a hard copy in our personal vehicles, with my daughter and wife and stuff like that. And, but we still work through we've even gone as far to, where the person said, well, I don't have a hard copy, but here's my digital. I know I have a better one. And they actually get on the phone with their insurance company and then talk to the officers. I mean, like, we're just trying to verify you have insurance, right? Because at the end of the day, for those of you that have been hit by somebody that doesn't have insurance, it's completely unfortunate, right? It's terrible.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those individuals. I had insurance. I got hit by somebody, their fault. They had no insurance, and it made things very difficult. And so there's a reason why we need to have insurance on motor vehicles, and it protects everybody else as well as themselves. And so,
And that's a law.
Yeah.
You have to have insurance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
You have to have liability.
The problems that occur after an incident with somebody that doesn't have insurance is messy.
absolutely.
We're like,
And we have, like, remember there's two citations. There's one for no insurance, and there's one for no proof of insurance. I would tell you on the no proof of insurance, we probably administer that citation a lot, and all we're doing is making sure that you follow up with the courts and provide the proof of insurance. And we tell that to people all the time, because there are times where, oh my goodness, I can't find my card, or I left my phone. I can't, okay, that's not a problem. We're going to give you a citation for no proof. You can get that removed. Like, that goes away as long as you provide proof of insurance before your
Follow-up,
mandatory court date. So we're allowing people to, because we don't have the time to follow back up with these people, right? That's just we're going to put that responsibility back on that driver to go show the courts that they have insurance on the vehicle.
for sure. He's just being a responsible adult,
Zach and I actually used to both sell insurance.
Yeah.
I got pulled over one
Sure
time
did.
and a ticket for no proof of insurance. And he was just not having it. He must have been having a bad day. And so he was just giving me this lecture, and he's like, call your insurance agent or whatever. And I'm like, you're looking at her. He's like, even worse. He's like, you need to have that in your glove box.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. You probably didn't do yourself any favors with that one.
Yeah.
Like, well, actually, I sell it, and
Yeah.
I have access to all the copies.
I am the agent.
Hey, let me pull up my phone quick. I was just on my phone when I was driving.
That
Sorry.
was before the phone days. That was before the digital.
Yeah. Well, this next question I'm excited about. As warmer weather approaches and then hides again, but when it comes back, we have an increasing amount of questionable street legal mini bikes. What is a definition of a street legal motor/mini bike? I'm not talking about motorized bicycles either.
Must be
So-
like those little bikes.
That's what I I think that's what they're referring to. And the general rule is, so let me back up. There are a multitude of variables of street legal, right? That it's a very difficult statute to follow. The easiest way to put it is that if it's under 50 cc, it's not considered to be a potential for being a street legal, right? So if it's over 50 cc, you have to get it registered, you have to get all that stuff to make it street legal. And then then it gets into the conversations of, well, do they need turn signals? Do they need headlights and all that? And so there's so many more things that this question could, but yeah, I mean, obviously at the end of the day, the number one is whether it's 50 cc or above. If it's 50 cc, you need to have it registered with the state. If it's under 50 cc, you don't. You know, you even look at state statute regarding street legal, like, you know, would I love to see, like, let's say something that's, I don't know, I'm gonna throw out 40 cc that doesn't need to be licensed, and you see maybe kids riding around on it. You know, we occasionally will get that where they're riding on their own property, and then they venture out to the street, you know, and we'll stop and have conversations. But even something as simple as helmets, like we talk about this all the time, you know, like I mean, I know they said, and not the electric bikes, but that is the electric bike piece is a huge topic right now at the state level, because you see these bikes that are doing 30,
They're
35
fast.
miles an hour.
Yeah.
And this kind of goes back to, like, with our community, you know, we have a designated side of the sidewalk that you can ride a bike on. But it's tough for us to enforce, because obviously I have a hard time saying to a kid who's 10 years old, you need to go ride in the street, right? I would prefer them to be on the sidewalks.
Right.
But then when you listen to our downtown business district, you know, like, for example, your guys' setting here, we don't want a kid riding his bike super fast down the sidewalk and hit somebody coming out of a business. So there's like a little bit
Yeah.
of give and take.
That's true.
But going back to this question, that it's tough, right? Between the ATVs, the four-wheelers, are you going to a path? Are you not going to a trail? You know, like, it's a tough enforcement. I think we even talked about this a little bit last time. If everybody just makes an attempt to obey the laws and stop for stop signs and not drive over the speed limit and stuff like that, I think things become a lot more doable with the community. It's just it makes it tough when people are misusing or not necessarily obeying the laws, so to speak.
Yeah, I see a lot of like ATVs, you know, even at the stoplights out here, and I do wonder, I'm like, is that legal or not legal? Or I mean, and
Well,
their
even,
headlights and blinkers and
because even like scooters, like there's electric scooters that can go 40 miles an hour,
Yeah.
and it's like it's not motorized, but is like a scooter allowed on? You know, if it can go to those speeds, at that point, is it sidewalk or is it street, or like what are you supposed to do with
Helmets,
this?
not helmets.
Right, like-
and that's kind of why we're waiting. Like, I would say we're patiently waiting. I think
Yeah.
you're going to see some statute stuff coming down, because there's a big push right now to help us manage this. I mean, this is not just a problem here
Right,
in
this
Princeton.
is big.
It's all over the place.
Yeah.
You know, I've been in other cities where, you know, like those electric bikes are like going by my vehicle. Like I'm driving down the road and they're going by it because they're on the shoulder and I'm starting to slow for traffic, you know, and they're kind of whipping in and out of, you know, parking spots, and which I think is a little bit dangerous. But then, you know, you're
Yeah.
looking at them going 30 miles an hour or whatever the speed is, right? And they don't have helmets on and stuff like that. So, I mean, granted, at their own risk, right? But it's like you still want everybody to be safe. So this is it's a great question. It's a huge topic all over the place with all these different types of ATVs, scooters, mini bikes, all that stuff.
I just want to clarify it, because I remember being little and we would ride our bikes to town and we were riding all over on the sidewalks. Where are they supposed to now with the new, like, when you're not supposed to ride on a sidewalk? Where should they ride if they're going through town?
If you look at our ordinance, it states that on the east side of Rum River Drive, they would prefer to have the bikes. And I think, and this was established a long time ago,
Off the sidewalk.
on the sidewalk.
On the sidewalk.
Yep.
Okay.
So they designate within our ordinance to be on that one side of Rum River Drive.
okay.
Because I think how they established that piece was because there were, like, if you think of that east side of Rum River Drive, there isn't a lot of business storefronts
Right, like
that are
this-
right on the
yeah.
sidewalk. You know, you have the malls and stuff like that. So I think they did that with that purpose.
Makes sense.
Where they would prefer that. I mean, technically, if you look at the ordinance, you're not allowed to ride a bike on this side, you know, the west side of Rum River Drive, or for that matter, you know, this side here. But, you know, it's a tough conversation to have with a
Yeah.
10-year-old, because
Right.
I really don't want them, like, I'll be honest, I don't want them riding on Rum River Drive in the shoulder or First Street on the shoulder, because
Right,
there's
and
just
as a
so much
parent,
traffic.
that's scary.
Yeah. So, you know, we try to, we try to assess every situation, right? Like there are times that, we'll see 5 or 6 kids maybe riding their bikes down the wrong side, right? And we'll stop and we'll have a conversation with them and say, hey, you're better to get over here. And, then the answer is, well, yeah, but I was going to the ice cream shop, like, so there's all these different variables that go into play.
Yeah, and they probably don't know.
It's using good judgment. I mean, whether it's the officer or we try to even talk with the adults or kids and just say, well, just slow down, right? Just ride appropriately, because you could have somebody walk out of a business, and we don't want there to be an accident right there, right? And somebody get hurt.
Are you causing problems or are you not?
Yeah.
Like, are you putting people in danger or are you not? Are you
100%.
like if somebody lives on this side of town and wants to get to that side of town and they are walking their bike or driving real slow with it on the sidewalk, like, is that a big deal? Right? Like, just getting somewhere safely to go try and follow the appropriate set of rules or something. Like, it's going to be different than you doing a wheelie down the sidewalk, right? Like,
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah. Just like real quick before we move on to the next question. So, rule of thumb for any motorized, non-motorized electric bikes, just kind of give us a rule of thumb on that, on what you would say to somebody, whether they're a kid or adult, teen, whatever, moving around, getting around on mini bikes around town.
Well, obviously, if they're over 50 cc, I want you to register them, right? If you're under 50 cc, it's that parenting piece. If it's a kid, right, we want you to have appropriate conversations, and I want you to stay on your property. I don't want you darting in and out of traffic or like the residential side streets, because that's just unsafe, right? And then obviously, you're hoping for parent conversations with helmets and just knowing and understanding, hey, this is a stop sign. Hey, this is like, so that's the stuff that goes on. I don't, rule of thumb, right? It's that 50 cc is the magical. And if it's not, and it's not roadworthy, then I don't want you on the roads, right? You have the capability of, staying within your property. And then, the unfortunate piece is that then leads to, I think you're gonna maybe create some conversations with like noise ordinances.
Probably.
That neighbor that hears that little motorized 40 cc mini bike riding around the house 175 times, in a day, technically how our ordinance is written is it could be a noise violation. We've had those calls, and I think just having appropriate conversations with the people, and I would say most of the time those people are like, oh, I never thought about that, right? Or, just like, hey, can you take a break for a couple hours? I get it. We like at one day we all were ripping around and motorcycles on as kids and stuff like that. But it's just being appropriate and knowing that we're not out in the county, we're in the city limits.
Yeah.
I think we're a little bit more grayish up here, just because people still think oh, we're out of that metro, right? Yeah. Like I would tell you that there's probably a little bit more leniency in some of that stuff, like with ATVs and stuff like that up here, because it's so popular. Whereas,
right,
if you're doing this down in the metro, you're going to get a call. There's no question about it. And that's just kind of we try to assess those situations as we go.
Yeah, and coming down from the state, we'll know more about electric and motorized. Hopefully in the future here. So I'm excited for this next one. Mary, I'm going to let you take this one because I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, this is more of a, I think, myth buster. Do you tend to pull over vehicles that are more expensive than ones that are less expensive? Are there any types of cars that raise a red flag when you see them?
Absolutely not. If you are committing a traffic violation, I honestly can tell you we really don't care what kind of car you're driving. As far as the back, I guess I don't know if there's a specific car out there. I have no idea. I can tell you right now that at least at my department, it's pretty simple. If you're committing a traffic violation, there's probably a good chance you're going to get stopped.
Regardless.
So what kind of, if you're driving a Porsche or a Yugo, I don't even know what it would be. I'm not sure.
Do you tend to pull over vehicles that look like crap?
I used to when I was 16. There was always that myth that red cars.
Yeah, I think I
red,
heard. Yeah,
yellow, bright.
Yeah.
Well, it's like just also it's bright, so like you're asking for attention from everybody. And
I mean,
if
that's
it's a police
true.
officer's dude, you're still getting their attention. So that's up to you.
Right. I mean,
Drive-
a Lamborghini drives through
Yeah.
Princeton, and you're.
Yeah, you're gonna turn heads.
I mean,
no matter-
we might pull that over just to see who the driver is and
Yeah.
ask him, like, "This is the coolest car ever."
Yeah,
you know,
dude.
kinda, right?
Can you rev it up real quick?
So
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
It's absolutely not.
Oh my gosh. Actually, I got a question too. Since we're on these vehicles, if a car is driving around with no hood on it and it's like ripping around, okay.
No
Let's just start with
hood?
no hood. Yeah, I've seen some cars too. Like, just I don't know. They have no hood, engine's open. Is that a problem or is that okay?
Ooh, that's a good one.
No
I
hood.
believe, and don't
Yeah.
hold me to this. I don't have my statute book
Yeah,
in
no
front of
kid-
me, but
yeah,
I
no worries.
believe that equipment violation, every car does need a hood.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty confident with
Yeah.
that one. I think it does.
Yeah, I know some
So-
people. Yeah, I mean, this
I
is
mean,
more.
I can think of like I think there's
Are you one of them?
No, I mean, I don't have anything cool enough where I want to take my hood off. So,
yeah. I want to say we actually, and it's been a couple of years, but there was I think one of our guys pulled a car over with no hood, and I think they were just going around they were working on the car and they wanted to see if so.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Like where we're like, okay, like, but just FYI, don't like get in the habit of driving this because you need a hood. I want to say that we've had that happen before, but yeah.
yeah. All right. While strolling through the cemetery, just strolling daily, it seems to be. Help me out here, Mary.
Depository? It seems to be a depository.
Of various empty alcohol containers. Sad to see this. So I'm not sure if this is a question or not, but yeah, unfortunately, people are probably
littering.
sad and drinking alcohol. Like, I don't. That's unfortunate.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I mean, we haven't got a call on that, or like our public works department hasn't said that is a problem. Obviously the cemetery has hours, right? That,
Yeah.
that I think occasionally we get called, where, it's past those hours and we'll, kind of scoop people out of there or whatever. And sometimes it's good intentions, right? Like,
Yeah.
I can remember one, I think it was closer to like midnight and, the gentleman was coming home from work and decided to stop and visit his wife, right? And someone called on that, thought it was suspicious activity, which, we want those calls to happen
Sure.
because, we like,
Yeah.
whether it's something that's like criminal or just something in this situation where it's
Yeah.
completely harmless, hey, we ID'd them, and then they pretty much just we're like, hey, all right, well, have a great night, kind of a thing. And so the alcohol bottles are a new. I haven't heard of that, but
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we would, please clean up after yourself. I
Well,
guess.
it's littering. I mean,
Yeah.
which is illegal. So just don't litter.
I mean, that'd be the easiest way to correct this issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure about this next one either. Is it legal to back into a angled parking spot instead of driving forward? I see this a lot at one particular spot in town.
So this is a good question.
I would have never thought to even question.
Could you
that.
explain it a little bit more, like what they're asking about
So
too?
how I interpret is I think you have angle parking on a street, right? And we have a couple spots like that. Now, we would have to, in this question, clarify whether it was private property or public property, right? Because we don't have a control over the private property piece. On like public property, so like let's say, I'm trying to think of a good example.
So this
Middle school, or the old middle school, the health club. They have those angled parking spots out in front of the health club
Oh,
there.
okay. Yep.
What I think they're talking about would be, is it illegal to back into an angled spot? So the first reaction I have is, I'm like, why? Because I feel like it's harder.
Yeah.
I'm thinking to myself as I'm pulling up on the right side of the road and I'm gonna pull into an angled parking spot. I feel like you create more difficulty trying to back in.
Right.
And then when you leave, you're also you're making it a little bit difficult to leave and go the appropriate direction, right?
Right.
And not cut across the roadway
Correct.
where it's not safe. So I don't necessarily. It's a great question. I didn't find anything in state statute that said you couldn't do that, but I'm not sure why you would do that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it also
let's
puts you
just
in. Also puts you in a position too to possibly even like if you start now backing up into the other lanes or other side of traffic, and now you're causing a hazard, like it puts you in a position to like, you don't, why even do that?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, and that's kind of where I went with it. Like, I don't know why we would do it. You could probably get into an argument of trying to back into that spot is technically impeding traffic, where you're going to disrupt the traffic flow. So I mean, I'm not aware of it being a problem, but I mean, at the end of the day, like the first is like that's a head scratcher. Like, I'm not sure why we would do that, and maybe they're talking about a different spot. I have no idea.
Yeah, I can see it. So they're driving west in front of the fitness center, and then they just drive past the spot and then back in
Yeah.
instead of turning around.
Which I would tell you that that's probably not the safest thing to do, is because now you're cutting across that eastbound traffic.
Right.
Like, if there was an accident there, I would assume the person that was doing that would be at fault for the accident. For
sure.
Kind of a thing. So depending on the situation. So again, great question. I want to know where specifically they're talking about.
Because the parking lot has the angled parking, but you still can't pull through, obviously, because they're both angled.
Yeah, exactly.
But I guess maybe I have seen people back into those.
Yeah, I can't think of one that I've seen, so I guess I've never seen it.
Same. This next question has to deal with fireworks and tannerite. I'm really excited about this one, but we'll get right back to it after this commercial break. We're 1 hour from the cities and 1 hour from the cabin. We're at the crossroads where good food, cold beer, and small towns collide. Princeton's got pizza that will change your road trip plans, tacos that belong on your camera roll, and a brewery that will probably just make you forget about where you're going. And if you're into adrenaline, our racetrack has got you covered. And if you're into chill, we have parks, rivers, trails, and enough space for you to breathe. Princeton, it's not on your bucket list, but it should be.
So, city ordinance for quiet hours. I see this on the Bolton Facebook posts all the time. Zimmerman and Princeton, it's a really popular question. Nothing like getting woken up late at night by fireworks, tannerite, etc., races.
Everything.
All of it, yeah.
Yeah. So we have two city ordinances that fall kind of into this category. So, like, just general noise, which within that ordinance it talks about vehicles, loud parties, just kind of the more of that generalized category. It's 11 p.m. We do have an ordinance relating to fireworks being 12 a.m., so an hour later, and I think probably why they did that way back whenever this was written, was because obviously you normally don't let fireworks off until it gets dark or whatever, kind of thing. So
True. Yeah.
obviously going off of the perception that we are running legal fireworks, because obviously in the state of Minnesota there's a statute against fireworks that propel into the air, right? Is like 4th of July, right? I don't know. We get so many calls.
Yeah.
Like, it's, I think what I see on the people that get irritated are fireworks during Thanksgiving or fireworks during Christmas or like 2 months after the 4th of July.
And
I think there's a lot more acceptability to just knowing that there'll be fireworks, right? And I can tell you, we've issued citations for this. We've done a pretty good job, I think, of showing up and, hey, let's just call it a night kind of a thing, and maybe then we're called back again for a second time or a third time, and then that's when maybe a citation gets issued. The other big is trying to figure out where they're coming from. Yeah.
That's true, yeah.
That's, hey, I think it's somewhere over by Mark Park. I feel like that's always, and
how many homes,
we can drive
echoes.
around and that you're right. It's within that city limits, things tend to echo, and the tannerite question, I hear it at my house, and the first thing that always comes into my mind is, oh my goodness, I hope something didn't explode. You hear those calls of that gas pipeline explosion type stuff at businesses. That's always my first, but I honestly can be at my house and I have no idea. I heard it and I think it's maybe that direction, but
it's loud.
You don't even necessarily know where that's coming from. Right. No different than the races. I mean, we have we have complaints that come in on the races going, past that permitted time. And it truly depends on which way the wind is blowing, because there are people that will maybe make a complaint on Monday morning regarding the races on Friday night, but then they'll say in the complaint, well, but this must have been the first weekend for races. And, my response is, well, no, it's actually been going on for 4 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we never heard them. So I think it just depends on, the weather conditions.
I mean, I live
is
10
so
minutes
true.
out of town and I can hear them.
Yep, me too.
Like if the
Me
wind's
too.
right. So it's
Same
just
way.
like,
If the wind is blowing in the right direction.
I'm like, is
we
this
can hear 'em.
Ogilvy? Is this Princeton? I don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, so yes, so we do have ordinances relating to time pieces of that boisterous noise.
And what about a curfew?
Curfew, we do have a curfew ordinance of 16 years of age. There are some variables, like if you're going to work, it's now I'm questioning myself. I think it's 11.
Okay.
It's either 10 or 11.
For 16 and under?
Yeah, and we match Sherburne County and Mille Lacs County. That was one thing that was probably maybe 10 years ago. All three of us had something different, and so we got
that's hard.
together and we just because that's hard to for a kid to remember that kind of stuff. And so, but there are variables in there, like I'm with my parents or I'm coming from work.
Right.
Like there are things to allow for those pieces to be corrected. I think it's the juvenile mischief piece where you see that citation maybe, or I mean, not even a citation. Maybe it's just a verbal warning, but we make parents come and pick them up because they were at the park throwing rocks at a window, stuff like that, right? Where we're getting the calls on that kind of thing.
Also, what are you doing at, 11, 12? Like,
Just
are
walking
you
around
doing anything
town.
good at that point, too? Like,
Yeah.
not saying that everyone is doing something bad, but it's like majority of the activity late at night. And why are you out here, anyways?
Well, and
like,
Go to someone's house.
yeah,
and
it's just.
you said it perfectly, right? The ones that aren't doing anything wrong are the ones that you wave at and just, hey, have a good night, be safe, right?
Right.
The calls are the ones that you're seeing that juvenile mischief is the ones that unfortunately we're having to stop and deal with, right?
Right. It's probably not someone at the park late at night writing a letter to,
Their grandma.
is yeah, or to their Anyways, broken heart letters or something. I don't know.
Broken heart letters.
Romeo and Juliet just crying. Anyways, this one, what keeps you? Next question. What keeps you going in this job? With how crazy the world is, and why do you stay in the career that you are in? It's kind of like a why. Why do you stake it out?
Well, like things like I enjoy stuff like this, right? I enjoy getting out. Like I love coming to work every day. Based off of the officers I have in my department, but also just the community, right? I have great bosses. The city of Princeton, right, is just in my opinion is phenomenal when it comes to the Princeton Police Department. I mean, is it a tough job? Absolutely. Are there days that you're like, oh my God, I just want to go home, right? Yeah, and we unfortunately we can't control those things, right? We talk about this all the time, and even back in when we were going to school, way back when, you're 90% of the interaction is 95% of the interaction is dealing with a negative situation, right? I gotta take dad to jail for a domestic, and my kids are friends with those kids, right? So those are tough situations to do. Right. I think we handle them very professionally, and what gets us coming back are the positives, right? I just had 2 officers that are going to get life-saving awards in an upcoming city council meeting. If it wasn't for them driving at a high rate of speed and dropping everything they're doing and getting to a medical and saving that person's life, they wouldn't be here today. And I can tell you stories like that off and on, whether it's the Sherburne County Sheriff's Department, Mille Lacs County Sheriff's Department as a whole in law enforcement. That those are the feel good ones that get you coming back, because there's a reason why we're here. It's the house fire where maybe the police department is responding, not that we're the ones putting the fire out, but we're trying to get as much information to that fire department so they can make appropriate decisions on how they're going to get this fire out. Or, one of our jobs is to make sure nobody's in the house, right? Stuff like that. So, I mean, even stuff like that where you leave that call and you go, okay, this is why I do the job, is those small percentage of the feel good stories,
The great
right?
outcomes.
Yeah, right. And believe it or not, I know that there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with this, but like we have a job to do when it comes to like traffic citations, and it comes to, I feel like we do a pretty good job of using our best judgment on who needs a ticket and who doesn't need a ticket, and that there are rules for reasons, and we've chosen this pathway, and we know that people are going to yell at us and scream at us and take to social media, and it is what it is, right? In one ear, out the other. We know when we go home, we did our best for that shift, right?
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a lot of careers that can fall into this category. Like
absolutely.
Doctors. You lose somebody today. How can you cope with that? And lots of different careers have different.
You look at my support staff.
Goods and bads.
I have 2 support staff ladies at the police department that are just civilians, and they do a phenomenal job of de-escalating the person that's upset that walks into the police department for whatever reason, right? And they take a beating, and that's no different than maybe the receptionist at the dentist office or the billing department at the hospital.
Billing departments anywhere,
right?
Yep.
Everybody's in these professions where the
DMV,
the DMV, right? We have all these places everywhere, regardless of what profession it is, but in order to keep our wonderful country moving in the right direction, you have to have these jobs, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you have to have ordinance. You have to have authority. Like, what would our town, our city, our state, our country be without ordinance,
right,
or law? Or like, do you want to be a part of that? Do you want to live in something like that? Like, no, of course not.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you do, go find another country that doesn't have it, because there is plenty. Yeah. I have another follow-up question on that, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
What's something that people either get wrong or don't know what goes on behind the scenes for a police officer? A lot of people see the version of what social media shows or what stories been told, but like, what's something that's a misconception that's wrong, that's most people just don't know, that maybe what it takes to be a police officer, or what it takes to do the job correctly, or just something along that lines that kind of just pulls back the curtain a little bit about the job and what you guys do to kind of just be more relatable with humans, because you guys are humans too. Like, at the end of the day, you have a uniform, but like you said, it's still a job.
Well, I mean, there's a lot, but I think like taking everything with a grain of salt, right? It's I tell my guys all the time, like you're gonna get yelled at, you're gonna get screamed at, you're gonna get called every word in the book, or I mean, we have a lot of officers that work for my department, and it's worked super well for us, that are local kids done well, right?
Yeah.
That are former Princeton graduates, and it's obviously our job is to be professional, and our job is to try to gather. I think maybe jump into it. That's another perception, is like we ultimately don't make the decision to that criminal complaint, right? Our job is to gather as many facts. Sometimes it's not true, but we still gather those facts, because that's the story I'm sticking with, right, from a person. But our job is to present as much information as possible to the county attorney or the city attorney's office to allow attorneys to do their job. But to go back to the original question, I think that it's tough to balance, right? To one, come into work and we want our community and our officers to be safe, and then to go home and turn the switch off, right? And
yeah, that's gotta be hard.
It's and then trying to catch the ones that are maybe wellness issues, right? Like as an administrator, myself and the sergeant, we're constantly looking at calls that we had the previous day or the previous week, and we're trying to identify, does there need to be a conversation, because this happened or that happened. So it's, operating at that highest safe level you possibly can, because at the end of the day, you had a very difficult situation occur in the city of Malacca yesterday involving an incident that started off as somewhat of a simple one that turned into a ramming of a squad car, and you never know when it's going to go sideways on you, right? So you got to keep that alert status or that high level of officer safety or community safety, but then you got to then run out the door at whatever time and go to your daughter's soccer game, and be able to just have that happy balance. And whether you're a young officer or you're a seasoned officer, it's working through those pieces and making sure that we're good to go home. But also, again, it's no different than knowing that we did the best job we possibly could at that shift, right? We treated everybody with respect and and don't get me wrong, there are times that we refer to it as verbal judo where we need to maybe escalate our voices, because at the end of the day, we just want everybody to act appropriate, act professional.
Yeah.
Whether you're a community member or you're an officer or whomever, right? And manage that situation, right? Mediate it and look at it from our standpoint, or try to do that. So,
Yeah, I think even just that last sentence you just said, like, try and view it from the officer's perspective. How would you have handled this, or how would you take this, or how would you deal with this information? Like, if you were in their shoes, if you were driving their car, if you had to walk up to a car with no idea who's in it, if they have a weapon or not, or if if their tabs are expired, but you don't know. You really don't. And it could be a life or death situation in a matter of seconds, or it could just be like hey, it's good to see a friendly face. And you just
absolutely.
There's such a wide variable there. And people also need to understand that as well. Like, well, he's just so grumpy or whatever, and he just wasn't nice, or he wrote me a ticket. It's like, yeah, but he's also doing his job, and he also has a lot on his plate too, and just like give grace back to these people that are trying to serve our town, our state, our everything. So, like, yeah, just giving a little more grace and trying to see it from the other person's perspective. So
yeah, there's always multiple stories.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we try to tell people. Like we're just getting here. We didn't see what happened. Tell us what happened.
for sure.
And maybe give us a little bit of patience. Let us talk to everybody here, and then we'll get back to you, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, like we can't jump to conclusions either, and you wouldn't like us to, like at this moment, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe you want us to because it's on your favor, but like if it was in the other person's shoes too, like you don't want us to jump to conclusions, so we have to do our steps. That's why we have rules and these processes to make sure everything is done right. So,
and everybody has a perception of what took place. Everybody's got their opinions, and that's okay, right? That's okay, and that's our job to kind of filter through all that stuff. But and this is unfortunately, people do lie to us.
Really?
I know.
Seriously?
It
what?
makes the job a little bit difficult.
I can't believe that.
And it's just that's just what happens, right? So we got to work through those problems.
Yeah, unfortunately, people do lie. Or the even more popular one is they leave out information, and they just give you information.
Details.
Yeah, that they feel like
Beating around the bush.
Hey, well, yeah, I mean, you didn't ask.
How come you didn't ask me that before?
Yeah.
How come you didn't say that before?
Yeah.
You didn't ask me.
Yeah, well, I didn't think it was necessary. Yeah, people, man, I love it.
Well, and I think you guys, it's important to be seen, and your department does such an amazing job with that. Just we see officers kind of all over the place, and for people to know like you're not scary, you're good humans, and I love that about Princeton with you guys. You're seen.
It's worked. It's for the, and I don't know why, but like even back when I started, there was this perception of like you can't hire people that live in your community. Like there was that law enforcement piece because, and I think part of the reason was that you didn't want to put officers in those situations where you were having to deal with like their friend, right?
Yeah.
Right.
That was kind of the mentality way back when. And, this wasn't me. This was former chiefs decided, you know what, we're going to take a different approach. And I think why you see that to your comment as far as we're out and about and soccer games, basketball games.
Yeah, I love that.
And why I think that works so well for us is because we have a lot of department members right now that grew up here or just are outside of, the city limits or whatever, and they're passionate about their community.
Right.
And I think it helps though when you see us outside of that uniform, right? You
100%.
see us at a, does it become difficult at times? Absolutely. Going out to dinner or you're going to your daughter's soccer game or softball game or whatever, and you have those, tell me what happened, like that
of
stuff,
course.
right? But then
Small town gossip.
and then there's always the wanting to offer opinions, right? When maybe I'm not working or another officer's not
Right,
working.
like you're trying to clock out, like you're trying to be present with the kids or in something else and trying to eat dinner with your wife or something, and all of a sudden like, oh, hey, Johnny, could you know about that? Like, could you believe this? Or I got a ticket the other day about this. What do you think about that? And like that part, I understand would be super hard, but is it worth it too? Because the trust that's now there of having people that grew up in the town or have been around it and like that are now serving it, there's just a much higher level of trust. And also, if you want to talk about high stress scenarios, like how much more easier is it to relate to somebody and get through to somebody if they like, hey buddy, hey buddy,
100%.
yeah, I'm sorry, like, yeah, I just had a bad day, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, all right, well, how about it just moves that conversation so much better rather than having someone come in a uniform you have never met before, you don't trust them, versus seeing someone, a familiar face. And so that's
I love it.
a huge advantage, I feel like, and not a disadvantage. It does make it hard to what you're saying. Like, I can't imagine, having a scenario, even if it was one that was tough, because most of you guys' jobs, you're dealing with people on like their worst days or their worst scenarios. And it's like, now you go and see that person in public, and so
You said it's rapport, right? It's that when we just had a situation where it was a father having just a bad day, right, and really didn't want to have any communication with us, and we luck out that one of my officers gets there, and happen to know the son of so that created that conversational piece, and all of a sudden we're kind of back to zero, right? We're back to levelness, and
de-escalates right away.
And it turns into talking about sports and didn't he like? And so you created a conversation simply based off the fact that the officer went to Princeton and knew the family, right? That's huge, right? And I think in bigger departments you don't get a lot of that. That's why I think it works well here. It works well in Malacca. It works well. I mean, you could even say it works well in Elk River. They've hired some local boys, and it's just I don't think we thought it was going to be that beneficial when we did this way back when.
Yeah.
It's just it's turned into, why would we not do it?
It's great.
Right.
I think it's great.
So if you're going to school in Princeton, you got a pretty good chance of being a cop in Princeton if you want to, because that's what we've been doing. We have a couple kids right now that are in skills that are Princeton kids, and we've already had conversations with them
Come back to work for us.
because it works well.
Yeah.
So
correct me if I'm wrong too, as long as you have some kind of interest in law enforcement or going to school or reporting or something, you can sign up or do something along the lines of getting a ride along with you guys as well. And then talking to,
we work well with the school. Like the school sends us ride-alongs of kids that are, boys and girls that are thinking about going into law enforcement. I think that's huge. I think that's a good thing, because I will tell you that it's not meant for some people. Like, let's just call it what it is. And I would rather you identify that before you go to skills, right? Before you go to school, because that's a pretty big slap in the face when you go and you spend the money, you get to skills and you graduate, and then you become a cop and you're a month into it and you go, holy cow, this was not me. And we tell this to kids all the time, like, do ride-alongs, like join reserve programs, those kind of things. Like, we we are constantly, we try to always have that happy medium of hiring reserves that are volunteers, that are kids that are thinking about going to school to be a cops or in school, and that helps them in the training aspect, but also helps them to decide, yeah, this is for me, right? So it works well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or go become a jailer for a while, correctional officer, and figure out how to talk to people. I mean, I was a correctional officer for a few years, and like I learned so much about high stress scenarios,
Absolutely.
talking with people, and things that like you should probably have underneath your belt, or at least some experience with before you get into, before you get into the street in a life scenario that's not controlled as much as inside a cell.
Communication.
Yeah,
And you
communication skills.
You got to be a good listener.
Dude, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so do more listening before you do talking.
Yeah,
So
there you go.
yeah.
I want to jump to this question because I just saw somebody do it, and I'm interested.
Don't turn around.
I had a guess of that. I saw you. I'm like, oh, this is going to be that question.
Okay. Is it legal to execute a U-turn on Main Street?
Oh, the hotbedded conversation. So, based off of an ordinance, you cannot do a U-turn in the business district. So, like, for example, from, let's take it, Neighbors Bar and Grill, just north of the roundabout there, all the way to McDonald's, that's considered Princeton's business district. You cannot make a U-turn, right? First Street is like from 4th to like the 600 block, so a little bit shorter distance on First Street. So we do have an ordinance that says you can't do it. Now, do people do it? Absolutely.
All the time.
Do we stop people for it? Occasionally, right? When it happens in front of us, we don't get a lot of complaints of that, Controlled intersections, you can't do a U-turn, right? So stop signs, lights, those kind of things. And then obviously the state statute regarding double lines, solid lines are all, which is of various of different streets around here. You gotta be careful with that and watch that. So bottom line is, it's illegal.
It is illegal to do a U-turn.
You cannot do a U-turn on Rum River Drive or First Street within our business district based off of an ordinance. And then obviously you have to decipher what type of line you have, whether it's solid or dotted or those kind of things. Now, do people do U-turns in more of a controlled setting, like I've seen people where they're wanting to park on the other side of the street because there was a parking spot open.
That's what
and
just happened.
They'll maybe go down and they'll go into that intersection a little bit, that side street, and then they'll do a U-turn and come back out again. I've seen that happen, and like in my opinion, I feel like they're at least making that better attempt to do it in a more controlled environment where they're not going to. But at the end of the day, if you cause an accident, you're probably going to be at fault for causing that accident based off of you can't do a U-turn right on these particular roads right here in town.
And I feel like the majority of the ones that I see do it are exactly for that because they see a parking spot on the other side.
Yeah. It's the whole. I think we had a hot topic of conversation at the last one about people walking across the street and not using the crosswalk.
Yeah.
Like they back in the day, jaywalking. I don't even know what that
What does the J stand
I don't even
for?
know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It's just impeding traffic.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen people come out of storefronts that have been 30 feet from the crosswalk, but they'll still dart across there like Frogger. Right? Good game.
Which is legal now. Or it is legal, right? You can cross anywhere?
You can cross as long as you don't impede traffic. So if a car is coming down, so this is what
if a car has to stop for you?
Yeah, and let's say and this has happened. Let's say you pull the Frogger and you dart across Rum River Drive and you have a car that stops for you.
Yeah.
And then somebody rear ends that car. Technically, the person that's playing Frogger is responsible for causing the accident because they're impeding traffic.
Yeah. Do.
Right? So that's
I do all the time.
so as we say with the U-turns, and just go to the intersection, go to crosswalks, right? For walking and crossing the street. It's just safer.
Yeah.
For everyone.
Yeah. You mentioned this earlier, and maybe this is, whatever. But I've heard this argument before where like, it doesn't matter if it was my fault or not. Minnesota's a no-fault state.
For
Can you explain?
for injury.
Well, in Minnesota, you're all like, if we're talking like a motor vehicle accident,
Yeah.
you're always going to, unfortunately, have some sort of percentage of fault because you were there. Do we agree with it or disagree? I honestly don't know. I mean, you know, it is. I would tell you frustrating, right? If I am driving down a road and somebody pulls out in front of me and hits me, like there is still a percentage of fault to me because I was there, which makes no sense to me. I'm you know, I think I would jump on the bandwagon of that argument, but at the end of the day, yeah, that's what we're talking about is that, you know, but this is why we have insurance, right? Is we allow, I tell people, you know, you don't have to call your insurance company. The two people that are in the accident can figure this out. But if you have insurance, let insurance deal with it, right?
Yeah.
Because that they're going to deem whose responsibility and whose fault it is.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you. Unless you had something you wanted to share on like the
No.
insurance side of like
I just remember
what the no fault means.
I
and
just
like,
remember that being the hardest thing to explain to people
yeah.
and not really understanding it fully myself. So
Well, awesome. I know that you have to be somewhere as well, so we appreciate your time and always enjoy having you here.
we
and
always look forward to having you
Yes.
here.
That's
Yeah.
I
my
appreciate
favorite,
it.
so.
It's awesome to be here.
Thank you. And until next time, you guys, this is the Princeton Podcast.
Signing
Zach?
off.
And Mary, signing off. Thank you. Stay here, play here. What? I'm getting a thumbs down.